lot of collective energy that you have to watch. You want to, it's like standing at the bus station and there's a series of buses showing up. And some of them are going to take you places and other ones will take you places you don't really want to go. That's why there's been so much of this figuring out who your people are. Who's your tribe, right?
Crypto or something, there's something like a crash or something financially. That's what I keep hearing too from my guides. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I don't know if
That's an absolute possibility. Almost the entire month, not just from this particular aspect. It wouldn't surprise me based on the astrology of now and later in the year that we have like some kind of big wipeout. And then we get into the fall, this kind of, oh yeah, we're maybe going back into normal, but we're
yeah.
not.
Okay, Jill, I'm gonna do the honors and hand it over to you. I feel like I'm handing a baton over to you, like it's a marathon.
Well, we will try to not make it feel like that. Hopefully it will feel a little bit more like the water table. So how is everybody doing? We're actually meeting on the full moon of the month of June. So that is happening in the sky just a few hours from now. It's also the same day as Mercury retrograde. So hopefully no technological issues. Feel free to hop into the chat and share any thoughts. I will try to monitor that. And, if you have any questions as we're going along and discussing what's happening. So, and as always, thank you, Anne, for allowing me to be with your beautiful students and talk about what's happening. So yeah, the astrological caution flag is up from now through, I would say minimum July the 6th, because we are anticipating some pretty intense energies coming through. So this is kind of the closure. This full moon is always endings. It's a closure, so to speak. And it's in the sign of Capricorn. So we're really starting to see some of the structures that are no longer reliable. We need to create some new structures in their place. Now, this Mercury retrograde has been in the sign of Cancer. So we're rethinking, repairing, reconsidering something in that area of life. And so we're going to look to starting today at the symbols that are occurring that relate back to June the 12th. We're letting go of some structures. We're going to be reconsidering some things. And then we have to look at this movement of Mars into Gemini, where Uranus is as well. Now, the reason that this meeting of those two planets is so important, that happens on the 3rd and 4th of July, is because it is the first time it's happened in 84 years for the two of them to meet in this sign. And so this is setting the pattern for the next 7 years. Mars is the energy of action and war, fighting, athleticism. Uranus is the energy of technology and information and the internet and traveling to space and things like that, things that liberate us. But it is also the energy of rebellion. So we're going to watch some symbols here related to those things. And you may already be feeling that. I know a lot of people have been feeling very tired. I think this is the agitation of the nervous system, which Gemini rules, and to have these symbols in Gemini. There's also there's many shifts in the month that are harkening back to patterns. And so you'll want to write down a few dates and maybe spend some time thinking about it. Not now, but later. Chiron moving into Taurus. That was 1976 for those of you that were around for that one. So a new 51-year pattern is being created. Jupiter is moving into the sign of Leo tomorrow. And this is a 12-year cycle. It was last there starting in July of 2014. So we're looking at a new 12-year cycle. And also noticing that Jupiter in Cancer was much more considered about home, or much more about home and hearth and caretaking and inviting people into the home and feeling very nationalistic and proud of the country. It's like the perfect timing for the World Cup. Now you're going to notice a distinct shift as it moves into Leo. People are going to want to have some attention. They're going to like a little bit more drama. And that will also feed the fire of any other fire signs. And remember that Neptune is also in a fire sign right now, as is consequential Saturn. So we're setting up some really important patterns for the next 12 years. When we look at the month of July, one of the key elements of the movements of the planet this month is that the outer planets, the ones that we can't see, are combining in a very positive flow of energy. So when we can't see a planet, this means it operates subconsciously in your energy field. It's kind of something that moves the collective, but we can't always put our finger on it. So there's a lot of collective energy that you have to watch. It's like standing at the bus station and there's a series of buses showing up. And some of them are going to take you places, and other ones will take you places you don't really want to go. That's why there's been so much of this figuring out who your people are, who's your tribe, right? Who's your group? What relationships are working for you? If you've been feeling itchy, the job doesn't work, the family relationships don't work, that relationship doesn't work, that's your prompting to liberate yourself. And freedom is the quest of Uranus. And freedom is the goal, freedom of movement, freedom of thought. But as more people want to become free, there's always something else or some group that wants to control that. So that's where a lot of friction comes in, for
I
sure.
love that, Jill. Sorry to interrupt you, but I absolutely love that because this is something we were saying off screen before we started. There's an irritability at the moment. It's sort of like our voice is being restricted or our thoughts. And it feels like there's a battle going on at the moment with some larger organizations that sort of trying to control sort of our thought processes and our voice is being spoken. That's through like social media, Instagram. A lot of people have been taken down on YouTube. So it's like there's a restrictions and I don't know about you at the moment I've been sent loads of emails from organizations saying there's new terms and conditions, there's new rules and regulations and trying to fit you into sort of a certain role or whatever. But yeah, I feel that right now, that irritation of us sort of saying no, we don't want to put up with it anymore. So I love it. Yeah, that's spot on. Love it.
Totally agree. And so another thing with this is part of why the Mercury retrograde is very interesting right now, because Venus and Jupiter came together right around the same place where Mercury is now. So last month there was something where perhaps a door opened or there was a project or something that came to you and you may have dismissed it out of your hand. You might have thought that's too much. I can't do that, or I don't know how it's going to work. Well, now that we have this new expansive energy of Jupiter in a fire sign, plus this synchronistic energy of Uranus and Mars, you can be frightened because things could happen that you can't control. But perhaps let's take the attitude of, well, allow these obstacles to be removed from me. Anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Love that.
So what we do have to watch, though, with Mars and Uranus, there is a tradition of it creating violent events. We just had that the incredibly tragic earthquake in Venezuela. There were other earthquakes in the world. Weather events absolutely could happen, especially things that inhibit transportation, because Gemini represents transportation, any kind of pathway. So we're going to be a little bit more careful, what train we get on, right? Back to the bus. Even when you're driving, I want you to be a little bit more careful. Technology and war. There is also a theme with the meeting of these two planets of new technologies being introduced. And, there's always going to be the higher vibration of new technology. Oh, we can communicate, we can put headsets on and speak to people in their language. But there's always a shadow of technology as well, being used to control or manipulate people. That's, some of the things that we've
I'm
talked about.
wondering there, Joe. I wonder if anything comes up for you also. I mean, what keeps coming up to me, I keep hearing messages about maybe Bitcoin or some of the cyber sort of crypto or something. There's something like a crash or something financially. That's what I keep hearing too from my guides. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I don't know if you could.
That's an absolute possibility, almost the entire month, not just from this particular aspect, but from some of the other ones, because the financial system is going to shift, because our value system is going to shift.
Yeah.
We're having to be more adaptable.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, lovely.
And it wouldn't surprise me, based on the astrology of now and later in the year, that we have like some kind of big wipeout. And then we get in the fall this kind of, oh yeah, we're maybe going back into normal, but we're not.
Yeah, yeah. I get that totally.
You're feeling that too?
Yeah, totally am. Yes.
I do think there is literally a global consciousness shift. I know that people in spiritual spaces have been talking about that as long as I've been in spiritual spaces, which is a long time. But this is truly a consciousness shift.
Yes.
And it is something where there's also a lot of energy available to people who want to manipulate others. And so we have to maintain our tether to reality. We cannot only believe what's on our devices or what we're being told. We have to really stay connected to our guides and our discernment.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's really important right now. That is the connection that we have individually. So, so important. Sorry, I was going to interrupt you, but I totally agree with you right now.
Interrupt me as often as you like. You have your way of looking at the different facets of the jewel, right?
Yeah.
But it will feel like there's an acceleration of change. Rebellions, people, groups of people rising up, the masses rebelling against leaders. I see this coming up.
Yeah.
Venus will be in Virgo for the beginning of the month, and I'm sorry, Venus will be in Leo, and Venus in Leo loves a little drama, a little leadership, feeling beautiful, and then she's going to go into Virgo, and then she can get so critical, so harsh. So we must watch, especially with ourselves, that we don't shift from feeling empowered to suddenly thinking, "Oh no, why did I post that?" or "Why would I have said that?" Try to watch that kind of shift in energy. The sun will also move into Leo, and Leo really is the story starting this month and next month, an enormous amount of Leo energy. We also get Mercury stationing direct at the end of the month, which will help propel us forward. We won't really get out of the stickiness until we get to August, but we'll get there. And then another major planetary shift, the nodes of fate, the nodes of the moon, they walk backwards, and they also are shifting into the south node into Leo and the north node into Aquarius. But because they move backwards, they're going to show up at the end of the zodiac. But this harkens back to December of 2007 and January 2008. So that is another really long pattern that you can look at to see. And that's why it will feel like accelerated change, because we're literally closing the book on many, many chapters and opening brand new volumes of karma and relationships. All right. So if we're going to read for the sun, moon, and rising here. So if you know your sun, your moon, your rising, if you don't know your moon or rising, feel free to email me, jill@newittastrology.com. I'll be happy to run your chart for you. But Aries individuals, there's something so powerful about Aries. It is the first sign of the zodiac, and Saturn is in your sign right now, which requires you to be disciplined. It's asking for you to be mature and look at the long-term goals. You have to really watch your emotionality. Your buttons will be being pushed, absolutely. And it will feel like a huge relief for you to get this retrograde over with, but also to have Jupiter move into the fire sign. That is going to give you much more creative juices to work with here. And try to make some progress between now and October, because Mars, your ruler, will be retrograding. And the whole first 6 months of next year will kind of feel like it's not going at the pace that you like to move at. So set yourself up for success. And do try to feel a little less like you have to go it alone. This energy really supports, especially with Pluto and Aquarius, the group. And remember, the group doesn't mean you have to conform. The group just means we accomplish more together. All right. For Taurus folks, do watch the finances. There could be some shifts and changes, and you don't like change. There's also some dramatic changes here in the house of home and real estate. So you may be looking at things about moving or relocation or renovation in the home. Because Chiron is in your sign between now and September, you're really examining the parts of yourself that you don't like, the parts of yourself that you find difficult, the people that you've been loyal to that maybe didn't deserve your loyalty. So examine those. And definitely some potential career changes or opportunities. Now, this month, there's a lot less planets in Earth. And so it will feel like it's moving much too fast for you. And you have to be careful that you don't just sit on the couch and consume ice cream in quantities that are dangerous. Okay. So try to find better ways to ground yourself, delight in beauty, delight in the world. All right. Gemini folks, you are the new change makers with this energy in your sign. Things will not be steady. Things will be uncomfortable, but you're really good at that. I mean, you're great at spinning all the plates and juggling and all those things, but try to stay also grounded. If you're just thinking about it and not taking the actions, then you can't make progress. Try to come up with some new goals and aspirations, freshen up the what I want list. And notice that Mercury is retrograding in your financial house. So if you needed to make some adjustments in order to stabilize, go for that. Try to use technology to help you and not distract you, because it is really easy for your phone to swallow you whole right now. Okay. That entertainment value, the facts, the figures, yes, there's quality information out there. Can you consume and digest it in the appropriate amounts? No, you must pick and choose. I suggest learning something new, augmenting your skills. It's a wonderful time for that for you. And also to really lean into adaptability, because even a Gemini can get rigid in their thinking. Now, Cancer folks are really in this identity, I wouldn't say crisis, but they've been given a smorgasbord, a variety of things that they could potentially be doing. And so you can't have it all. You can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. So you have to be a little more picky and choosy, and also understand who you are and therefore what you want. You have a new moon in this sign on July the 14th, which is very powerful, and some brand new ideas coming your way. It's kind of like things are starting to sort out into pros and cons lists so that you can feel a little less indecisive. There's absolutely some financial opportunities coming your way, so look out for that. But try to conquer your fear of picking a direction and instead get some perspective. Spend some time near water. That's always good for you, right? You can cleanse your aura. You can gain that perspective so that you don't feel like you're being forced or pressured to do certain things, whether it's to please other people or to just because you tend to take on responsibilities, okay? And it's definitely a time to review who you owe money to, who owes you money, how you commingle your money, and make sure that you have trustworthy people, on your side when it comes to those kinds of things. A trusted advisor and quality people you can go to when you have questions. Leos, I mean, get your hair done. I always tell you to do that, but seriously, we've got some really big opportunities coming for you. Jupiter in your sign. Now, here's the thing though, adding Jupiter to your already buoyant, expansive tendencies can be too much. So the tendency can be to go too hard or to take on all the opportunities. So, dial it back. You do have an eclipse coming up in August in your sign, which is, you may feel the pressure already building for that. And also the pressure from Pluto, which is asking you to change, potentially even where you live. Discipline will help give structure to all that fire. Think of a fire gone awry. It destroys things, but fire in a proper container creates heat. It creates light. It can, it can feed light 1,000 candles, right? So that could be the way that you could be sharing this energy in some way. I think you'll want a little bit more adventure, maybe than you've been wanting in the past. So set yourself up for those opportunities when they come for you. Here's the thing, when you start to want to do something like that, you've already missed the framework of setting it up. So try to anticipate that. And also review your goal list and make sure that the things that you're working for are still things that you actually want out of life. All right, Virgos. I really think that there's some major energy here, and you also may be feeling a little more buoyancy after the South Node comes out of your sign. That was a serious struggle over the last 18, 19 months. And so you might feel like, wow, I'm coming back to myself. Now, there is some hidden energy in your chart that could really push you in ways that you're like, well, I'm not even sure why I said that, or I'm not even sure why I did that. Don't be too hard on yourself, but try to understand those secret impulses, those especially self-destructive ones. Definitely career shifts. You're going to need to be nimble. Your plan might go out the window, and that's okay. Imagine that it's doing that in the service of your long-term goals. Um, Big time financial decisions are coming through at this time as well. And potentially some health things. You may have gotten off track, and you're so sensitive. You always know when there's a problem, your digestive system goes crazy. Try to get back into eating well, taking care of yourself. Libras, yeah, you lovers of peace and justice will feel a deep sense of frustration this month. It's not a time of peace, unfortunately. But as you know, you love the peace enough to fight for it. So you may have a cause that you take up or someone that you really can help out. Try to, even if you are in a partnership, maintain your individuality within that partnership, because there's a lot of pressure here with Saturn and Neptune across the sky from you. And so you want to make sure that you have that space so that if you do encounter a situation where you feel like maybe you're not getting enough space, you don't lash out about it. You instead say, well, I normally have this time to myself, or I normally do this on my own, that kind of thing. Creativity, responsibility, balance is big for Libras right now. And because you're an air sign, this Gemini energy actually boosts you up. So there might be some technology that helps you in what it is that you're trying to achieve. You're also really examining the partnerships. They're under a lot of pressure. So if there are stressors, don't just walk away from it. Try to decide, is this really someone I want to take with me into my future who really helps me? All right, Scorpios, important financial choices and decisions coming your way. And this, remember, finances always align with values. What is expensive is what people value, right? And that's undergoing a big shift globally. Things that we didn't think were important become important. Things that we thought were valuable. It reminds me of my mother and her vast collection of fancy Barbie dolls. Okay, nobody wants those now. Okay. What you value changes, what the world values changes. So consider this, because you will only really work hard if it's in alignment with what matters to you. Definitely some new career highlights or opportunities coming your way. So say yes to things, at least explore new avenues of career. Again, relationships, who you want to be in your life, who you don't want to be in your life. Absolutely make time for meditation, contemplation, connection to source, because the ability to just gain information could really come to you this month. And you always have that ability, but sometimes it's heightened, and it's kind of like almost like an electrical cord. If you've gone too far away from it, you unplug it and you wander around for a while, and then you wonder why you're not having this deep connection to God. You need to walk back over and plug in. Okay. And then at home, your home environment needs to be energetically clear. You pick up everything, and so you just go to the grocery store and you come back, and all of a sudden you're feeling all this intensity or negative things that you just kind of they clung to you. And people also can dump a lot on you because you can handle it, but don't be a garbage can. Okay, don't allow that to be the way people treat you. All right, Sagittarius, you always need big adventures, but right now you need big adventures. You are really wanting to see some things. There's been a little frustration, but just watch impulsiveness. There's good spontaneity, and then there's might get killed spontaneity, and you need to know the difference. Okay. All experiences should not be sought out. Could be some unusual things happening for you as far as relationships or partnerships. So be open to possibilities, and also really see what comes in. Don't dismiss it out of hand or think, oh, that's too much effort or work. There could really be some things coming along for you that could guide you into your future. Look for any opportunity to educate yourself. You always love that, right? You're so curious, always wanting to learn new things, but actually pursue a few things that you can follow through with The more discipline and direction you have, that will really help you to anchor that fire somewhere. And my dear friend Karina always says, slow down to speed up. Right now, for you, Sagittarius, that is absolutely what you need to do. You must slow down in order to speed up so that you don't miss out on the nuances. Capricorn, for sure. Very powerful endings for you literally today, letting go of some things. But this is also related to some financial issues as well, because perhaps some of the goals that you maybe even set up for years and years ago, the ground beneath you is shifting and it may be uncomfortable, but you need to be adaptable. Definitely some potential speculative opportunities coming your way for the new, whether it's the new money systems or the new work systems. You always kind of have a nose for what will be successful. Remember the nimbleness of the goat, right? But it will require you to let go of the trapeze before you grab the next one sometimes. All right, some internal changes within you might be asking you to relocate or change something in the home. You are what was security for you before is going through a dramatic change. So try not to think, wow, but I've spent so much time or money or energy on this particular path and cling to that old way. Allow yourself to evolve. And, find other ways to stay steady, stick to your workout routine, stick to the, calling your mom every Tuesday at 8 p.m., those types of things so that you can feel a little bit more adaptable on the daily. And then my last two, Aquarius, as you know, you're going through a deep reinvention phase. It is not comfortable, all right? But there's a full moon at the end of July, which is absolutely incredible. It is powered by Pluto. The sun stands across the sky from the moon and Pluto, and Jupiter is co-present. So there's a bit of a expansion available to you as long as you aren't so focused on everybody else. Try to turn the attention to your part of the puzzle, right? You're so busy looking at the collective often that you forget to play your role. So you are the future. You're the change maker. Definitely some new relationships. So get out. Also lighten up and remember that creativity it comes through play, through fun, through enjoyment. You can't always be thinking, what's next? What's next? What's next? You will need to work on your communication a little bit. Sometimes people think you're a little cold or detached or a little too ready to burn it down. Let's try to meet people where they are. Try not to talk over their heads. Find that way to communicate so that you feel a little bit more understood. And allow your inner world to begin to shift and change. Remember, it's been a time period with that Pluto coming into you that you're having to see yourself in such a new way. It could feel very overwhelming, so be patient. And then finally, Pisces people, this will also feel good to have the North Node out of your sign because you have been feeling a sense of overwhelm, like a deluge of information, of emotions, of feelings, maybe even having to harshly shut the door on that compassionate part of yourself because it's just been too much. Now you can feel a little bit more like you can set appropriate boundaries. You will have some financial choices, but I suggest you be disciplined with your money and time. It is easy right now to be taken for a ride, to be scammed. I mean, it's easy for all of us, but it's much easier with the current configuration in your chart. Absolutely keep an eye out for new job opportunities, even if you aren't looking. And some new friends and new people, all right? And then that opportunity that showed up last month, it's flowing really nicely for you, but you had to make some adjustments. And so as you get towards the end of the month, I think you'll be able to move forward. It's definitely going to feel less overwhelming, like there's less information pouring onto you. So, quick overview of the month, my friends.
I love that. Thank you, Jill. That's so interesting. And you can feel it in even those friends around you or partners that are certain star signs. And then you go, oh, Yeah, it makes sense in what you're saying, what's to come, but you can also feel their movement as they're transitioning through their stages too. So it's very interesting. It's not just our own, but it's also others around you, the collective around you. And I think that's why it's so important with individual people around you, like your tribes, the community that you connect with individuals, that you can feel others' energy, because that also it's not just one small part of the jigsaw puzzle, it's that they are part of that collective around you that's influencing your own energy as well. That is really important. So yeah, no, I love that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the people in your life, they're mirrors, right? They're reflecting back to you what you are sending out. And so if you don't like who's around you, you can adjust your vibration and they will fall away and new people will come.
Yeah, I think that's really important at the moment. That, like as you were saying, it's so important at the moment. Those individuals that who may be thinking in a or acting in a different way, that you may feel so uncomfortable around them now that it's quite jarring. And so that's such a beautiful a gift to have, in a sense, your intuition sort of showing you that actually if you don't feel comfortable with them, or I'm not going to say the word, but BS, it's like when you feel really uncomfortable and it's just like whatever they're uttering out of their mouth is not really sitting right with you. It's that your natural sixth sense, your gut instincts will say to you, you need to move on. And sometimes that can be difficult for people where they find it difficult to move on and away from either friendship groups or partners or wherever. So yeah, really important right now. Love it. Yeah. So, so
Yeah,
important.
and be sure to bless them and thank them, not to their face, right? But bless them and thank them energetically for what they taught you and just move on. And don't feel it's not like you're judging them. It's just it's a shoe that doesn't fit. The shoe doesn't take it personally. You move on.
And I love what you've just said, because when you said not to their face necessarily, because literally that they may not be at that stage to address anything. So it's like they are going through their changes, different stages of themselves. Yes, they are those mirrors, but sometimes they can't see where they're at, and it's fine. It's not for us to judge, but it's also for us to be aware of how much energy are we losing by, being in that space. Yeah.